I'm very excited about
Thanks,
that.
that's good.
Yeah, I know. I'm finally not the only one with an accent. So I'm talking about Tamsin Kolbe. Tamsin is a marketing strategist. She has over 8 years of experience in working with all forms of digital marketing. Not only digital marketing, right, which is all sorts of marketing. She is the founder of Social Happiness, which focuses on creating and enhancing businesses and their brands through digital channels, especially social media, SEO, Google Ads, and also written pieces like blogs and newsletters. And today she will talk about how to get more visibility to enhance the growth of the business through digital marketing. So Tamsin, welcome. And by the way, tell us where you're from, because I think I've been doing quite a suspense about that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, thank you for that lovely introduction. So, hi everyone. I'm sitting in South Africa, so that's why we're also laughing about it being cold. I was saying that today is probably one of the chillier days of our winter so far. I think we hit a low of 7 degrees, so I do know we don't have much to complain about. But yeah, it was cold for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and awesome. I'm looking forward to getting into working through this with you. And as Paloma said, if you have any questions, please just drop them in the Q&A box, and we'll then see them and we can address them. We'll either address them live, or we will just do a Q&A section at the end of the webinar, depending on the relevance to the question at where we are in the stage of the chat. But please feel free to drop them in. One thing I love saying is no question is a stupid question. Please, like, you can ask. It would be lovely to hear what you have to think about. So I'm just going to jump into it then. Social media and SEO and Google Analytics, all these wonderful things are all part of a digital strategy for businesses. And the reason why we use them all together is that they create different layers, and we can then, help and build our SEO. So our SEO is search engine optimization. That just means that Google can find you and connect you with search results that people are looking for. So within the home staging environment especially, we want people who are looking for home stages, whether it is home staging or property staging or whatever the terms they're using, that they get connected with your business at the end of the day. And because that's important. I've worked with a couple of businesses where they go, well, we call it a X, but the market actually calls it something completely different. So it's very important to put the research in the background into that, because at the end of the day, we all want more business and we want to be found by the people who we want to work with. So your ideal clients as well, and that's important. So there was a lovely email that, or not email, it's on the website that Paloma sent out. I'm going to do a screen share. Let's see if this will work.
Oh yeah, for the worksheet, I'm going to put the link on the chat box in case anyone still needs to download it in case they haven't. But I think it would be nice to have it to just follow it whilst we're talking about it. Might be quite useful. So yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it should be live on the screen. It is on mine, it looks like it's right. And this is just basically a checklist to give you an idea of where your digital marketing presence is at the moment. So the first step was, do you have a website? Your website is very much like your digital storefront, and it's incredibly important to have one. It's one of the first things people generally want to see if you're taking yourself serious in business, is that you have almost 2 things these days. One's business cards and the other one is a website. And websites are fantastic because they're not just online brochures anymore. You can have a whole load of different things hosted on it. It becomes your portfolio. You can have a store on it. You could have live sections on it. The options can be almost quite endless, and it's an entire section by itself. What's important about your website within the context of SEO is the kind of copy that you have on it. So what's the wording that you're using? Is it easy to read? And does it have the keywords in it that the search engines are going to use to connect you with your potential customers? So how that works is if you create content and you load it onto your website, Google has their bots, as they call them. I always think of them as like little spiders because we talk about them crawling the web space. And what they do is they go in and they actually sort of look into your copy and have a look at the structure is one thing. There's a couple of things structurally that if they're in place, then it's going to help rank you higher. The kind of content that's there so that they know how to connect you with potential customers through the search results, as well as internal links. So one of the things that you do with the website is make sure that everything sort of links back to each other where it makes sense. So if you're doing a homepage, for an example, your homepage should pull together your entire website, and it should have a little bit of information about all the bits and pieces that you've discussed everywhere else, including, sort of a little bit about who you are and your services and portfolio. And then you actually create links to those things which aren't just in the menu. And that helps Google to see that, it's actually all talking to each other. There's no content that's sort of left by itself. And it makes quite a nice difference, which is great. Now, why that's important is Google also is interested in content, but relevant content and new content. So if you're creating new content and putting it out into the internet, then it sees, one, that your business is relevant and interesting and that you're still open. There's so many businesses that are on the internet who no longer exist that there has to be a way to almost filter them out of the search results because they're not going to actually service anybody. And it's a great way to also give a fantastic individuality to your business because your approach to things might be slightly different to the next person, or you offer a slightly different service, or actually you've taken the time out to just create an awesome piece of content that nobody else has. I was actually chatting, for an example, to a architect last week, looking at helping her with some things, and she created a blog post called "How Much Does an Architect Cost?" And what she was amazed with was how well it did, because nobody else had actually sat down and written a piece as to how could you figure out how much your architect is going to cost you at the end of the day. And it's probably one of the most searched things on Google when it comes to an architect, because people want to know, do I start with a budget or don't I? So that was really, really interesting. So just because it seems obvious to us.
I hope everyone is writing down now, how much does home staging cost? Next blog post.
Exactly. And how can I work it out?
Yeah.
Because that's probably one of the most searchful things. I don't know if I need to approach them and they'll be able to help me with a budget, or do I need a budget before I can approach someone? So yeah, just because we're the professionals in our own fields doesn't mean that what we know is obvious to everyone else. And so that's quite a nice, powerful thing to think about. So anything that you can think of that is part of your everyday life almost, it could be great content just because nobody else is aware of it.
Yeah, and also, Tamsin, I was just thinking that maybe you'll cover that later, but evergreen sort of content is actually quite good as well, because it's something that you can write today and it will still be relevant 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now. So that sort of thing, like how much does an architect cost, instead of just what's the trend for 2019, it can stay online and ranking quite well for a very long time, just bringing you traffic as well, right?
Exactly. That's also an incredibly good point. So just what the season's colors are, or maybe the kind of furniture that's appealing at the moment could change. So yeah, I didn't go into a couple of basics of home staging. So, but I know there's a lot more to it than that. But exactly that. So the more timeless almost and the more helpful content can be, then yeah, it's going to help you in the long term more so than what's trending. Though it is also nice to do what's trending, what's hot, what isn't working anymore. Even things like that can be fun to write, and people can engage with it, but they're not going to have that longevity. So that is very, very important, and that's a great point. Okay, so then once you've done all of these things and you're looking at checking to see how well your SEO efforts are going, the question is when you type in these terms, are you popping up in the Google results? It doesn't help to Google your business name, because then you're going to pop up. It's quite a specific search. But if you typed in home staging Oxford or whatever area you're in or focusing on, you would want to pop up in the search terms. There's a bit of a joke in the digital marketing world that the best place to hide a body is on the second page of Google results. So, nobody tends to go to the second page. So you want to be on the first page at least, and then from there, slowly but surely move your way up to the top spot. And that's done through, it's unfortunately one of those things that does take time. There's no quick fix to getting your page ranking at number one. And there is work and strategies and different ways to go about getting it there, depending on where you first start ranking at. So another thing that's really nice is once you start ranking for keywords and you've got your website all sorted out, social media is a fantastic way to support that. Not only because you've got more contact points in the digital space, in places where people are doing searches. A lot of people use Facebook to search these days, and on Instagram you can even follow hashtags. You don't have to follow people. So it just depends on what people are interested in and what they're setting up their parameters on, or what they want to be shown. But also these different platforms show up in the Google search results. So if you have got good content on your social media, Google can pick it up and rank it as well. So if they type in home staging and they get your website, your business name, and then your Facebook page, that's actually great, because then it goes, oh, well, this person's very relevant, you should work with them. They're awesome. And it's quite a nice way to just sort of support those efforts. So like I mentioned with the blogs, you can use blogs onto the social media platforms as well, so that that's less content that you have to go and sort of figure out, and where am I going to build it from. But also that then also drives people back from social media to your website, and they can then enter that almost sales channel from there. You can obviously have them enter into it straight from Facebook if you want them to. But what's nice about sending them to website is they could then see your whole portfolio. If you've got your prices and packages set up on there, they've got direct access to it, and then they can contact you to either book or for questions or whatever it is. Social media is small bite-sized pieces of information, whereas your website's still going to be, this is what I do and this is how I can help you in your life story. Because that's also the buzzword at the moment, is storytelling. And we're not particularly interested in anybody else's story other than our own. So we want to know how businesses or brands can affect our lives. So that's also quite a nice way to think about it when you're writing content. How could you help and affect other people?
Yes. How often do you think someone should be posting on Facebook? How much is too little and how much is too much?
Okay, so there's actually two parts of that question I can answer in two different, so that's awesome. So too much is a problem, as is too little. Too much, especially on Facebook, would be anything more than once in 24 hours. What happens with Facebook is they've got the algorithm, and at the moment, and they're probably going to keep it like this because they want people to spend money on advertising. That's how they make their money. For business pages, they have sort of brought down how many people can just organically see your posts. If they're just normal, run-of-the-mill, here's information posts. So they show to about 4% of your Facebook followers, just a general post. So if you post twice in a 24-hour period, they go, oh, wait, hold on. We've shown your first post to 2% of your page. We're going to show this new post to another 2%. So even the people who've seen the one post aren't necessarily going to see the other post. And you might have been building on content or doing a series of posts that you want them to see, all bits of information. So that's definitely too much. But that also being said, if you do post something and it's engaging and lots of people are liking or commenting or sharing it, Facebook then goes, oh, wait, hold on, here's a very important piece of information. We must show it to more people. So that's also what we try to do with social media content, is to make it engaging so that we can get Facebook to go, oh, we should show it to more than 4% of the people who like you. So I like to recommend 3 posts a week, actually. It's sort of a nice combination between putting information out there and also having time for people to miss you. You know, there's nothing I think more annoying than someone who's like, oh, here, hi, I'm here, buy this, I'm here. you also almost get to a point of, okay, I heard you. I'd like to move on now. Or it's a bit like a person in a clingy relationship where you're like, okay, I'm done. Whereas 3 times a week, you've got a bit of time to go, oh, okay, yes, I read that. And then the next time you see something, you go, I remember they said something about that. So this is interesting. So yeah, it seems to work quite well, and it seems to be a good way to engage people and have gaps in sort of this digital conversation that we have with them. So that sort of almost ties into that next question on the checklist. Is like, in the last month, how many times have you posted on Facebook? So if it's more than, let's say for argument's sake, the month has got 31 days. If it's more than 31 times, it's too much. Bring it down. But if you're not at least doing about 13 posts a month, try and work towards increasing that and finding ways to plan content for it. Planning content, I know, is something that generally concerns people because they go, oh, I've got to now come up with a whole month's worth of content, or I just never get to it, so I do it on the fly. And there's ways to work around that creative block, and different ways that you can be assisted with that as well.
Kate's asking how much approximately are the Google ads. Do you have any idea of pricing? Something?
Yeah, no, so that's all very dependent on the industry and where you're based. So it's going to depend on, they call it the bid. It's a bit like an auction. So it depends on how many people want to use that keyword and how much you're willing to pay to rank on top of it. So they're very smart like that. So I can use 2 examples for you of different clients I have. I have a plumber who here, where we are in Cape Town, seems to be a highly competitive market, and you can pay up to sort of 33 Rand, so that's almost £2 for a click, versus I have a couple of luxury hotels on my book, so you would think that they would be more expensive than a plumber, but we're paying 7 to 10 Rand a click, so it's roughly up to 50 pence. So yeah, it's a huge difference. It just depends on the market and what your competition is. So a couple of people here who've asked me, well, what should they start with? I said, for a small business, have a look at, I'm going to try and do the conversion here so you guys have got it in pounds. Because I know sometimes it doesn't help to say it and what we've got it. I think we're almost 20 Rand to a pound, to give you an idea. But let's just have a look and see.
I think last time I checked was 17, so if you go for 20, you should be fine.
Okay. Oh, so maybe I haven't looked for a while. Let's say, okay, yeah. So I recommend that they start with about 2,000 Rand and see how far they go, and that works out to 116 pound, just less than that. So to give you an idea. So what's nice about it is you can also say to Google, I only want you to spend X per day. And once that's clicked out, then they stop showing your ads, which in some ways you've then gotten some coverage, but then you're not showing all the time either. But sometimes having the budget to compete all the time can work up very expensive. And I think that's the thing, and that's where people get caught. They go, oh, I want to be showing it all the time, which would be the optimal, but can you afford it is the thing.
And it's usually service-based, isn't it? Let's say if I have 3 of the HSA members, there are always 1, 2, 3, and I know that they actually are, and they're always competing. Every time I Google one of them, you see one is number 1, the other one went down to number 3, and then next week it's the other way around. Is it usually just because they're all the same sort of business and they're just like competing with each other, or they're choosing different keywords each time? Or let's say if a 4th member wanted to join the fight and try to take down one of these 3 of the top 3, do you think they would have a chance without necessarily having to spend as much as number 1 by using maybe different, even the keywords? The thing is, because it's kind of the same business, they would have to go for the same
keywords, yeah. So they very much will be competing against each other. And I think the thing is that is whatever you've searched to draw up that ranking, that's how they are achieving for that ranking. So what would be interesting to see is if each time you search, are you using the same search term, or are you using variations of, and that's why you're also seeing them ranked differently. So that's one thing to take into consideration. But they could be creating content that's made them more important. So even though you're not going and seeing business one, then their Facebook page, then their Instagram page, it doesn't mean that those extra activities aren't helping support their SEO efforts. And they could be doing blog posting. There's also quite a popular way of doing SEO, which is called backlinking. I would say I'm not a huge fan of backlinking because I think there's better ways to achieve the same results. So backlinking is just you're paying somebody to go and find connections and link you on other websites, so that Google goes, oh, well, yeah, they're referenced again, they must be important. Oh, yeah, they're referenced again, they're important. But I think that there's so many other fantastic ways to do that in this day and age, rather than paying someone to link you onto websites that you won't even know if they're relevant to you or not. Like, maybe looking at doing something that's PR worthy and getting that kind of thing out there, because then you're still going to be on news sites and link back to your website, or mentioned on other social media platforms. Collaborations are also just so nice and strong. Media partnerships. So there's some really good ways, I think, other than that, to build your SEO, where you are being presented on other people's websites or social media. Awesome.
I think this is a wrap. Tamsin, thank you so much. That was
Absolute
so helpful, so much fun as well, and I've learned so much, and I hope that everyone learned it as well. I know that Kate will be in touch with you very soon, I'm sure, because she probably has more questions. But
I've actually seen her in my inbox today already, so that's great.
But I hope it was helpful for everyone. And yeah, if you haven't done the worksheet, by all means, I think it's a good exercise just to analyze your business in a more introspective way and go, okay, what am I doing? What should I be doing? So it should help you just to draft what are the next steps, so you can enhance your visibility and grow your following, or just set up that social media account that you've been procrastinating for ages to set up. Who's never done that? So yeah. it's a good first step. And if you need any help with anything, you know how to find me. And if you need any help from Tamsin as well, she is one of our suppliers in the home staging headquarters. But she's also available. I think I've put her Instagram account. What is it? I'm going to add it again. If anyone wants to contact her, follow her, just stay up to date on what she's up to.
I'll also just drop my Facebook here, and my website should be live again after next week. So here's holding thumbs.
Good. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Because you can't be talking about how important it is to have a website and don't have a website. You better put it up ASAP.
Yeah, and it's one of those awkward ones of, you should have a website. Yes, I did have one. Yeah. Anyway, if we're getting back there.
Great stuff. Yeah, follow her and connect with her if you must. And yeah, I hope it was helpful. It was very helpful to me. Thank you so much, Tamsin. I'm sure we'll talk a lot more. But it was lovely to have you here helping our lovely HSA members. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing a lot more about you, and maybe articles with tips and stuff. But we'll catch up on that.
That sounds good. Have an awesome evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us.
And you. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye.